kids say the darndest things, until they say something that makes you wonder if they remember a life they never lived. See people who aren't there or know how you're going to die. Tonight, we're going to walk through 13 real posts from people who heard children say something so unsettling it stuck with them for years. These aren't polished ghost stories or movie scripts. They're offhand comments at breakfast, whispers from the back seat, sleepy confessions at 3 a.m., the kind of moments where the room suddenly feels colder, and everyone pretends they didn't hear what was just said. You'll hear kids talk about invisible friends who don't act very friendly, details about dead relatives they never met, predictions that hit a little too close to home, and conversations with things lurking at the end of the bed. Some of these can be explained away as imagination, some not so easily. So, wherever you're watching this, turn the lights down, put your headphones on, and maybe take one last look behind you. Because the creepiest thing about kids isn't just what they see, it's what they're willing to say out loud. This is 13 creepy things kids have said, according to Reddit. Let's begin. Story number 1 from user Him in Reverse. My toddler just said something that sent a chill down my spine.
Hey fellow parents, I need to share something that just happened and see if anyone else has experienced anything similar, because I'm honestly a little freaked out. My little one, Leo, is 3 years old. He's usually a pretty happy-go-lucky kid, loves dinosaurs and making silly faces. This morning, we were eating breakfast, pancakes with way too much syrup, as per usual. Out of the blue, while I was pouring myself some coffee, Leo looks up at the empty doorway leading to the hallway and says, in this really calm, almost monotone voice, "The lady with no eyes doesn't like when you're loud." My blood ran cold. I immediately stopped what I was doing and just stared at him. "What did you say, sweetie?" I asked, trying to keep my voice even. He just shrugged, took a big bite of his pancake, and said, "She just doesn't. She stands there." He then pointed vaguely at the doorway. There's absolutely no one there. We live in a pretty new house, no history of anything weird. We haven't been watching anything remotely scary, just the usual Bluey and Sesame Street. He's never mentioned anything like this before. I tried to ask him more about this lady with no eyes, but he just kept repeating that she doesn't like loud noises and that she just stands there. He didn't seem scared, just matter of fact. Now I'm sitting here sipping my coffee and every little creak of the house is making me jump. Is this just a weird toddler imagination thing? Has anyone else's kid said something inexplicably creepy like this? Should I be concerned? Help a slightly freaked out parent out. TLDR. My 3-year-old casually mentioned a lady with no eyes standing in our hallway, and now I'm questioning my entire existence. Edit. Thanks for all the responses. It's somewhat comforting and also a little unsettling to know I'm not alone in this. A lot of you are suggesting it's just imagination, which is probably the most logical explanation. I'm going to try not to dwell on it too much, but I'll definitely be keeping an ear out for any more details, or hopefully a complete dismissal of this lady. I might even try drawing with him later and see if he draws her, though a part of me really doesn't want to see that. Wish me luck. Update. Okay, so I asked Leo about the lady again this afternoon. He was playing with his blocks and just said, "Oh, she went away. It's okay to be loud now." When I asked where she went, he just pointed towards the backyard and went back to building his tower. I don't even know what to think anymore. Maybe she just needed some peace and quiet? Thanks again for all your input, Reddit. I think I need a stronger coffee.
Story number 2 from user Antique Teeth Drawer. My daughter asked if I liked the new lady in the basement. We don't have a basement.
This happened a few nights ago, and I'm still trying to logic my way out of it. My 3-year-old daughter, Lena, was playing in the living room while I was folding laundry. Out of nowhere, she looks up at me with that eerie toddler calm and says, "Do you like the new lady in the basement?" Now, let me be very clear. We don't have a basement. We live in a one-story ranch. Crawl space? Sure. But a full-on lady-accessible basement? Nope. I laughed awkwardly and asked what she meant. She didn't laugh back. She said not to tell you she's there, but I told her you wouldn't mind. Cue instant full-body tension. I asked what this lady looks like, and Lena, still all smiles, says, "She's bendy. Her neck goes like this." Proceeds to tilt her head almost to her shoulder in the creepiest horror movie move a child can do. I managed to croak out, "Where is she now?" She points, dead center at the heater vent on the floor. One of those old grates you can hear through. I go over, check it. Just dust and darkness. I tell her there's nothing there. She shrugs and says, "She's hiding. She doesn't like grown-up eyes." She then goes back to playing with Legos like she didn't just say something that would make Stephen King cancel his book tour. I didn't sleep that night. And yes, I put heavy furniture over that vent. If Bendy Lady wants to come up, she's gonna have to move a bookshelf first. Edit. Okay, apparently crawl spaces can be haunted too. Thanks for that. Gonna go pour salt in a circle around my HVAC system.
Story number 3 from user 13th Incantation. My 4-year-old casually told me how I die.
So last night, I'm tucking my 4-year-old into bed. Standard bedtime routine, right? Stories, nightlight, a quick hug to fend off the existential dread. As I'm getting up to leave the room, she grabs my hand and says super calmly, "Daddy, don't drive tomorrow. The man in the fog doesn't like your eyes." I just stood there, blinking. I asked, "What man?" And she goes, "The one with the backwards legs. He watches people who see him. That's why he doesn't like your eyes." Then she rolls over and pulls the blanket over her head like that's the end of the episode. Cut to me Googling creepy fog entities at 2 a.m. like an idiot, and considering how much time off I have left. Anyway, I'm taking the bus. Or a priest. Haven't decided yet.
Story number 4 from user Hexed Doorframe. My son's night visitor just got way too specific.
Okay, so a few weeks ago, I posted about my 4-year-old Leo, mentioning a shiny man who visits him at night. We brushed it off as an imaginary friend, albeit a slightly unsettling one. He never gave us any details, just that the shiny man would stand at the foot of his bed and watch him. Well, last night things took a decidedly creepier turn. Leo woke up crying around 3 a.m., which isn't unusual. He sometimes has nightmares, but when I went in to comfort him, he was pointing towards the corner of his room, eyes wide with genuine terror. "He was there, Mommy," he whispered, his voice trembling. "The shiny man." I held him close and told him it was just a bad dream, but he insisted. No, he was looking at my dinosaur picture. Now, this isn't just any dinosaur picture. It's a specific drawing Leo made last week. A bright green T-Rex with ridiculously long eyelashes that he's very proud of. It's hanging on the wall right next to his bed. I tucked him back in, checked the room, obviously found nothing, and stayed with him until he fell asleep. But I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. How could he have known the shiny man was looking at that particular drawing? He's never mentioned the shiny man interacting with anything in his room before, just standing there. This morning, I casually asked him about the shiny man again, trying to get more information. "What does the shiny man do?" I asked while we were eating breakfast. Leo looked up, chewing thoughtfully. "He looks at my pictures," he said, "and he whispers." "What does he whisper?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. He leaned in conspiratorially, like he was sharing a huge secret. He whispers that my blue blanket feels like clouds. My blood ran cold. His favorite blue blanket is incredibly soft, almost cloud-like. It's something we've said to him before, but not recently, and certainly not something a random imaginary friend should know or comment on with such specificity. Now I'm officially beyond just slightly unsettled. This feels wrong. Like this isn't just a kid with a vivid imagination. Has anyone else had their child's imaginary friend get this detailed? Am I spiraling, or is this genuinely weird? I'm considering putting a camera in his room, but that feels like a huge invasion of privacy for a 4-year-old, even if it's to ease my own anxiety. Help! I'm officially creeped out. TLDR, my 4-year-old's shiny man imaginary friend has now started interacting with specific objects in his room and making comments about his belongings that feel way too accurate.
Story number 5 from user Candle Drip Cipher. Don't worry, Mommy, that wasn't you screaming.
So, my 3-year-old daughter has been having nightmares lately, or at least that's what I thought was happening. A few nights ago, she comes into our room around 3 a.m., classic horror movie hour, looking completely unfazed, not crying, not scared, just observing. She climbs into bed between me and my husband, snuggles in, and whispers, "Don't worry, Mommy. That wasn't you screaming. It was the other mommy. She lives under the floor." Now, I don't know what parenting books say you're supposed to do when your child casually drops a pocket dimension doppelganger bomb on you, but I just laid there like a corpse in a haunted house trying not to breathe too loud, and then she giggled, rolled over, and immediately fell asleep. Meanwhile, I'm staring at the floorboards, wondering if I should grab a Bible or a sledgehammer. Kids, man. Why are they always the medium for supernatural BS? Why can't ghosts haunt adults with fully formed nervous systems and health insurance?
Story number 6. From user Burned Page, my daughter just described something that absolutely shouldn't exist in our house.
Longtime lurker, rarely posts, but something my 6-year-old Maya said this morning has me completely on edge. We were getting ready for school, and Maya was sitting at the kitchen table drawing. I was packing her lunch and humming to myself. Suddenly, she stopped drawing and looked up at the ceiling with this really intense, almost focused look. "Mommy," she said, her voice quiet and serious, "the tall man with the bendy fingers is watching you." I froze. We do not have any tall men with bendy fingers in our lives, real or imaginary, that I'm aware of. My husband is average height with normal fingers. We don't have any creepy uncles or neighbors. I tried to play it off. "Oh, really? What's he doing?" I asked, trying to sound casual while my heart hammered in my chest. Maya kept staring at the ceiling, her brow furrowed. "He's behind the light. He doesn't like your song." We have recessed lighting in our kitchen ceiling. There's absolutely nothing behind those lights except insulation and the attic space. And the attic access is in the hallway, nowhere near the kitchen. I gently took her hand. "Sweetheart, there's no one behind the light. Maybe you had a funny dream." She shook her head, her eyes still fixed upwards. "No, he's always there when you sing in the morning. He has long, wiggly fingers, like branches." This isn't the first time Maya has said slightly odd things, but this felt different. The way she said it, the unwavering focus on the ceiling. It felt genuinely like she was seeing something. Later, after dropping her off at school, I hesitantly pulled down one of the kitchen light fixtures. Just as I expected, it was just the fixture, wires, and insulation. No tall, bendy-fingered man. But now, I can't shake the image of what she described. Every time I look at the kitchen ceiling, I get this uncomfortable feeling. and I usually sing pretty loudly while making breakfast. Has anyone else's child described something so specific and unsettling that couldn't possibly be real? Am I losing it, or is this genuinely creepy? Should I be worried? TLDR, my 6-year-old daughter casually mentioned a tall man with bendy fingers hiding behind our kitchen ceiling light who doesn't like my singing. There's nothing behind the light fixtures.
Story number 7 from user buffering coincidence. She says you look different when you sleep.
This happened last month, and I still get chills thinking about it. I was babysitting my 6-year-old niece while my sister and her husband went out for the night. We did the usual: dinner, cartoons, a little coloring. Totally normal evening. Around 9, I put her to bed, and I crash on the couch shortly after. At maybe 2 a.m., I wake up and realize she's standing completely still in the hallway, just barely visible in the glow from the kitchen nightlight. Not moving, not saying anything, just staring at me. I sit up and whisper, "Hey, everything okay?" She walks over, leans in real close, and says, "She says you look different when you sleep. Your mouth is wrong." Then she turns around and casually walks back to her room, like that wasn't the creepiest thing I've ever heard from a child, or a demon, or anyone. I didn't sleep after that, just laid there wondering who the hell she was, what my mouth was allegedly doing, and whether I should sage the entire bloodline. Kids shouldn't be allowed to have ghost friends. There should be a form or something.
Story number 8 from user cache corruption. I talked to the man in the closet. He said he remembers you.
This happened 2 weeks ago when I was visiting my cousin and her family out in the countryside. They've got this big old farmhouse, creaky floors, drafty halls, the works. Her 5-year-old son, Leo, is usually a ball of energy, but that night he was acting weird, quiet, watchful, like a cat before an earthquake. Around bedtime, I offered to tuck him in since my cousin was busy wrangling her newborn. We go through the usual routine: brushing teeth, pajamas, the mandatory 400 questions about dinosaurs, and I finally get him into bed. I'm just about to leave the room when he says, "Wait, I need to tell you something." I pause in the doorway. "What's up?" He looks dead serious. "I talked to the man in the closet last night. He said he remembers you. He said you cried a lot when he stood at the end of your bed." Now, important context. I did used to have sleep paralysis as a kid. Pretty regularly. I'd see this tall, shadowy thing at the end of my bed just watching me. I never told my cousin about it. Hell, I barely talk about it as an adult because it sounds like something from a bad horror movie. So I try to play it cool. "Oh, what else did he say?" Leo shrugs. "Just that you were louder than the others. He didn't like that." Then he rolls over like we just wrapped up a conversation about Legos. I went downstairs, poured myself a glass of wine, and tried to convince myself that kids are just creepy and imaginative. Totally normal. Definitely not conduits for entities with unfinished business and a strong opinion about my childhood sobbing. Haven't slept right since. Closet doors stay shut now. Always.
Story number 9 from user off by one life. I'm a teacher. A 7-year-old told me she draws her dreams, then handed me this.
So, I'm a 2nd grade teacher. Been doing this for about 10 years. Kids are weird, hilarious, brutally honest, and occasionally say things that make you want to sleep with the lights on for the rest of your life. Anyway, we were doing a little free drawing time the other day, and I asked the class to draw something they dreamed about recently. Most of them turned in the usual: flying cats, rainbow dinosaurs, pizza that talks, etc. Pure chaos, adorable chaos. Then one girl, let's call her Ellie, comes up and silently hands me her paper. It's detailed, like disturbingly detailed for a 7-year-old. It shows a figure standing at the foot of her bed. Long arms, no face, just a mouth, open wide, with teeth that looked more like splinters. But what got me was the caption she'd written underneath in careful, blocky handwriting. "He doesn't like when I pretend to be asleep." I asked her, trying not to sound freaked out. "Who is that?" She shrugged like it was no big deal. "That's the quiet man. He watches everybody. He knows when we're lying." I laughed awkwardly because I have zero training for demonic fan art interpretation and said, "Well, that's creepy." And she just smiled. "Yeah, he said you would say that." "I'm sorry. What?" I hung the drawing in the teacher's lounge as a warning to others. I now carry holy water in my Stanley tumbler, and I will never, ever ask a child to draw their dreams again.
Story number 10 from user Soft Reset Soul. Eavesdropping on the playground.
I was at the park this afternoon, trying to enjoy the surprisingly nice weather and get some reading done on a bench a little away from the main playground. There were a few groups of kids running around, being their usual loud and energetic selves. But then I started to overhear a conversation between 3 kids, maybe around 8 to 10 years old, sitting on the swings that weren't being used. Their voices were low and serious, and the contrast with the general playground chaos made their words stand out. At first, I wasn't really paying attention, just catching snippets like, "he said," and then it disappeared. But then one of the kids, a girl with bright pink hair, said something that made me put my book down. "Yeah, but did he show you his teeth? They're all pointy and black, and he smiles, even when he's sad." The other 2 kids, both boys, nodded solemnly. One of them, who was swinging very slowly back and forth, replied, "He showed me. He said he keeps them sharp so he can eat the quiet." Okay, what now? Eat the quiet? What does that even mean? The third kid chimed in, his voice a little higher pitched. "My grandma says you shouldn't look at him for too long, or he'll remember your favorite hiding spot." A shiver ran down my spine. This wasn't the usual imaginative play about dragons or superheroes. This felt darker. The pink-haired girl continued, her voice dropping even lower. "He lives behind the big oak tree, where the shadows don't move. He said he was waiting for someone who loses their way." They sat in silence for a moment, all 3 of them staring intently at the large oak tree at the edge of the playground, the one that always seemed to have a deeper shadow around its base. Then one of the boys suddenly jumped off his swing. "Okay, that's enough about him," he said, his voice sounding a little shaky. "Let's go play tag before he sees us looking." They all ran off towards the jungle gym, their earlier seriousness replaced by nervous energy. I sat there on the bench, my book forgotten in my lap, feeling seriously creeped out. Who were they talking about? Was it just some elaborate imaginary game? Or was there something else going on? The detail about the teeth, the eating the quiet, the unmoving shadows, it all felt too specific and unsettling for just random make-believe. I kept glancing at the big oak tree, half expecting to see some shadowy figure lurking there. Needless to say, my relaxing afternoon at the park took a decidedly creepy turn. Has anyone else ever overheard kids having conversations that were genuinely disturbing? What do you even do in that situation? Do you just pretend you didn't hear anything? TLDR. Overheard a group of kids on the playground talking in hushed tones about a shadowy figure with pointy black teeth who eats the quiet and lives behind a specific tree where the shadows don't move.
Story number 11 from user Glock2Glock. Haunted beanies.
My mother died a few weeks ago. I went to her house to get some things, and she had a huge collection of stuffed animals that I brought home for the kids. My son, 5, and I were awake early, about 3 days after her death, and he was playing with the stuffed animals in his room when he came out screaming and crying hysterically. This never happens. He's a very tough boy for 5. Now, I was freaked, asked him what was wrong, and he was legit terrified. I had never seen him like this before or after. He said that one of the stuffed animals moved. He said he was playing with the other ones, and the little 2-inch beanie stuffed dog moved, turned its head, and looked at him. He said he threw a doll at it, and its face got mean. He refused to go back in that room or leave my side until I put the stuffed dog in the trash. Not the inside trash or the outside trash near the house, but the dumpster down the street. I don't believe in ghosts or anything, but carrying that thing out to the trash, I got goosebumps and felt super freaked out.
Story number 12 from user Munich 11, 3-year-old mind reader.
When my daughter was about 3, we started to become convinced she could read our minds. She would randomly blurt out something I had just been thinking. Sometimes I would be thinking something like, I better get her to bed, it's late. And she would turn around and look at me and say something like, I don't want to go to bed yet. All still within the realm of extreme coincidence, but strange nonetheless. So one day, some of our friends were over, and one of them said to me, your kid just read my mind again. So we decided, as a group, to put it to the test. We formulated a plan. My brother would take her into the other room to distract her and keep her busy, and one of us would choose a random object for us to focus on. He wrote this on a piece of paper, and we passed it around to be sure everyone would be thinking the same thing. We didn't say it aloud just in case she has like supersonic hearing or something. So once everyone had read the paper, I threw it away. We stayed together, no one could whisper it to her, and joined her in the other room and told her to sit in the middle, and we would sit around her. She was very excited because she thought we were going to play a game. So I told her, we are going to all think of the same thing at the same time, and I want you to tell me what we are thinking, okay? She said, okay, and got quiet and waited for us. With the cue, we all sat there thinking of this one thing. She looked at each of us, only briefly, and then said, orange, kitty, Tricky. That was it. Our cat, Tricky. The guy had written, your cat, on the paper. Always found it interesting that she described what she saw, not as a word, but an image. She's in her late 20s now and still reads my mind all the time. I'm just so used to it at this point. I stopped being so weirded out.
Story number 13 from user Stained Glass Whisper. That's not my mom. She just wears her skin.
I work at a daycare. Yes, I have nerves of steel, and no, they don't pay me enough. So one afternoon during pickup, I'm helping 5-year-old Amelia zip up her jacket when she glances over at the door where her mom is standing, smiling, waving, the usual. Amelia just freezes. Total deadpan face, then very quietly she says, that's not my mom. She just wears her skin. Now, I'm not saying I immediately checked to make sure the emergency exits weren't nailed shut, but I absolutely mapped my escape route like I was in a slasher movie. I crouch down and ask, what do you mean, sweetheart? She leans in real close and whispers, real mommy is quiet. She sings to me when I sleep. This one hums the wrong song. Then she walks off like she just reported a light breeze and not a full-blown identity theft by Skinwalker. At this point, I'm sweating like a suspect in a police lineup trying to decide if I should casually ask Mom a few riddles to test her humanity or just punt the whole situation to the next available adult. I finally walk Amelia over and say she's all set, and as they're leaving, Amelia turns around and gives me this knowing look like, you'll see. Well, fast forward to the next day. Mom comes in, same bright smile, and what is she humming? Ring Around the Rosie, in the wrong key. Send help, or a priest, or both. Or maybe just tell me I'm not the only one these kids are trying to recruit into whatever end times prophecy they're manifesting in crayon.
And that was 13 of the creepiest things kids have said. At least, the ones their parents were willing to post online. Some of these stories can be brushed off as overactive imaginations, half-remembered TV shows, or adults connecting dots that were never really there. But a few of them, the ones where kids describe dead relatives in perfect detail, or casually mention the man in the corner who doesn't like you, those are a little harder to laugh off. If you've ever had a kid say something that made your blood run cold, you're not alone. And if you haven't, just wait. They always pick the worst possible moment. If you like this video, consider subscribing, leaving a like, or sharing your own unsettling kid story in the comments. Thanks for watching. Sleep well if you can.